What's up, YouTube land? This is Kevin Kelly. I'm the owner of K&G Mowers out of Paris, Texas. And today I want to talk to you about transmissions. You hear me in all my videos, and even if you've been in here, the importance of your transmission. I believe it's the most important thing of the mower, not the brand, not the gauge metal on the deck, not all that other, not what kind of seat it's got, nothing like that, not what kind of engine is on it. Your transmission and what the transmission is capable of. We have had more transmission replacements the last 2 years than we ever had in the history of our company in 16 years. A lot of those transmissions are after 2 years or after 3 years. They happen right when the warranty goes out. And so I want to make sure that you understand. I was just on Facebook on Bad Boy Mowers group, and a man just said he went into the dealership to buy Bad Boy Maverick. He mows 2.5 acres, and the dealership talked him out of the Maverick and was trying to talk him into a ZT Elite, saying the ZT Elite is all he needs for 2.5 acres, right? The problem with this is that the ZT Elite is maxed out fully at 2.5 acres on the transmissions and what they're capable of, right? So you're eating into that lifespan of the transmission. So normally I would expect that transmission to last you 800 hours. But if you're overworking that transmission and max it out every time you turn that lawnmower on, you're just eating into that 800 hours. You're overheating the transmissions. They're not made for that, right? So I've replaced a lot of ZT Elite transmissions, or Gravely ZTX HDs, or the Spartans, or a lot of the mowers that have that transmission. They bought too light of a transmission for that yard, or the transmission has too big of a wheel and tire on the mower. It's not really rated for that big of a wheel and tire. So we run into issues like that, right? So the last thing, I'll just put it in perspective. A 3100 transmission is maxed out at 2.5 acres. Now, some of y'all mow 10 acres. Some of y'all mow for a living on that 3100 transmission. But I'm telling you, the dealership owner of 16 years, in 2012, I became the largest volume dealer on the planet Earth with one employee. And he was Spanish, so he didn't speak English real good then. He got way better that year. But I'm telling you, with one employee, I became the largest volume dealer in the world. Now we've always had around 4 lines of mowers ever since that day. Once I hit number 1 at Bad Boy, I started expanding my business, right? And so I've had many brands over the years, but there's one thing that stays the same. It's usually the transmissions. So at 2.5 acres, right, you're mowing 26 times a year on average. Most of you mow way more than that. 26 times a year average at 2.5 acres. That is fully maxed out. That is all that transmission can handle to get under that 800-hour lifespan, or basically a 10 to 15-year lifespan is what the goal is on that transmission. So that is topping out the homeowner world is 3100s. Now what's cool is now they're offering a 3200 hydrogear transmission, right? A 3200 is rated for up to 4 acres. So if you do have a 3.5 or 4 acre yard, you are full blown maxing out 3200 transmissions. So I call that a little part-time or a big estate yard. You want a 3200 transmission. That's available on a Bad Boy Maverick. And in all the brands, that's the best-selling mower right now, is that 3200 price range, that category, because people are starting to grab this transmission thing. And now the bigger transmission you can get, the longer your mower can live, and without big giant repairs. Transmission is the most expensive thing on that mower normally. It's more expensive than your engine. So there's hydrogear. You hear hydrogear a lot. You hear Parker a lot. You hear Kanzaki a little bit. And there's a few other little weird ones I can't remember. But you hear a lot of brands, but they all have the same categories, right? So I'm gonna go with my bottom of the barrel, right? So we have a Surfer. We have a Surfer Pro, Hustler. We have a Dash XD. We have the little Dash mower, right? So that has your really light, like 1800, I think it is, sealed transmission. Then you go up to, say, a Raptor X or a MZ Bad Boy. You know, and and once you grab this, there's I don't know, 30, 40 brands. You're gonna grab that all the brands are the same. They all rate by the transmissions offered on the mower, right? So you go to Bad Boy MZ or the Raptor X, right? You have what they call a 2100 hydrogear seal transmission, a little bit nicer. The dash is really rated for 3/4 of an acre. Your MZ or your 2100 EZTs, a lot of people call them EZT seal transmissions. They are rated for right at an acre yard, maybe an acre and a half is pushing the limits, right? Then you step up, you go to a 2800 transmission. A lot of you guys hear it as a serviceable transmission, like a Bad Boy Avenger or a Liberty Scag or a Hustler XD, Raptor XD. You step up into that next range. You notice I'm not mentioning Grasshopper. They don't sell any of this stuff. They only sell you a commercial mower. They feel like if you have half an acre yard, you should buy a commercial mower. And you're going to see where I'm going with this thing. I have replaced so many transmissions at 2 years old after the transmission goes out, or 3 years old, and they have to drop $1,200, $1,500 on the lawnmower. Bam! Just right off the bat, right when the warranty goes out, because they bought a little bit too light of a transmission for their yard. So I'm gonna actually take y'all behind the scenes, and I'm gonna show y'all where I have almost $100,000 invested when this takes place. You'll understand how important this is and why my videos always talk about your transmissions. You don't buy a brand of mower, the color, the seat, any of that stuff. The first thing you're gonna look for is what transmission is on that lawnmower. And that's what you're gonna make sure that transmission at least matches your yard or excels in your expectations of what that mower can do. So like Grasshopper says, if every human being that walks in my door purchases a full commercial lawnmower with full commercial transmissions, they will be in a lot better shape over the next 8, 10, 15, 20, 30 years of owning that lawnmower, right? Well, I'm gonna show y'all why. It's a little messy. We're in the middle of doing inventory and getting this thing lined out. A lot of you guys don't get to go back here, but there is millions of dollars in the back of my dealership ready for y'all to look at this thing. Just ready for y'all to break your lawnmower, right? So I'm gonna take y'all back here to where all the magic happens. So this is the big money section, right? So this shelf right here and around this shelf, I have $100,000. So if man can come in here and just grab a few of these, he's gonna be making a killing. All these big boxes, they are also transmissions waiting for you to break on your lawnmower, right? The Bad Boy is my best seller, so I do have more transmissions for Bad Boy than any of them, but they're all the same, even in the Parkers and the hydrogear, Kanzaki. As long as you're getting the same class, this is gonna be your highest dollar class. This is a pump and wheel motor. So when you buy, I call these old schools, and when you buy like a Bad Boy Rogue or a Scag Tiger Cat, something like that, it's gonna come with 2 of these pumps, and then it's gonna come with 2 of these wheel motors, like this right here, right? This is the most expensive transmission because you've got 2 wheel motors, that's $2,400. Then you've got 2 of these pumps. These are usually $500 to $800 a pop. Some companies are $1,100, $1,200. So you've got 4 pieces to your transmission. One thing I look at is separated reservoir. So some transmissions, all 4 of these pieces share the same hole. So when you have one issue with this pump, it might go spread off into all 4 pieces, and you may actually have to replace all 4 pieces. Even when you replace this, the other parts might be damaged, and then you might be damaging your new piece. So to see separated transmissions is very important because you only have to replace this and 1 wheel motor, change out all the fluids, and then you have one side at least that's good. So the little bit cheaper systems, oh Lord, I got so many of these. So some of the cheaper systems is what you call a one-piece system. So we're gonna take this, for example. This is one of the baddest one-piece systems in the market. This is called a 5400 transmission. You're gonna see this on like a Bad Boy Rebel. You're gonna see this on a X-Ride Hustler that's bad to the bone. You're gonna see this on a Scag Cheetah. The Gravely, all the big series Gravely, like your 660 and your 460 and all those, are going to have this right here. So this mammy jammy, they combine the wheel motor and the pump system in one planetary gear system. So it runs more like a car transmission. So all your oil and everything's in this one system. It is not a pressurized system. The oil is just to protect your gear. So usually when you replace this, it's not as expensive. Like this right here is going to cost you around $1,100 to $1,500 per piece. It depends on what company it came from. And just a little trick, most of these interchange. Sometimes you just have to replace the pulley and the fan off your old system, and sometimes the brake is mounted a little different, and that's really the only difference in the transmissions. Every once in a while you'll get a different little hub right here, but it's nothing you can't swap out. So you can get these transmissions cheaper from Bad Boy, and so I will admit sometimes I do put some of the Bad Boy transmissions over onto other mowers because it's the same transmission. So this is why you hear me talk about transmissions a lot, because I am a dealer and I have 100,000 sitting right here. That's how much we break that big transmission. A lot of dealers don't stock this, so when you take it in, it's another week or two before they get the transmission in, especially if the factories are short. So so I just wanted to let y'all know a little bit on the transmissions. And when you hear my videos, you're going to hear. So the one thing that I want to actually make very clear is you've got EZTs, 2800s, 3100s. 2800s are like the good little homeowner yard. You got serviceable transmissions. You got an acre and a half. You're good shape. I really don't want you to go over 2 acres with 2800s, but I understand when you can only afford so much on your mower. But if you put this in perspective, if this mower purchase is over the next 20 years, a little over $1,000 or $500 here and there isn't a whole lot of money over the next 20 years. If you get a full commercial mower and you're mowing a half-acre yard, you've got something to give your kids and your grandkids. And that's why we have 30, 40-year-old grasshoppers that get traded in, and we get to resell them for $25,000, $3,000 because they're still $20,000 for a new mower. And it's still going to last somebody another 30 years because they have Grasshopper has made they even had hydrogear in these other companies like make their own transmissions specifically for Grasshopper. So you have like a Grasshopper T6 drive. Then you've got your bad to the bone like Hustler hyper drive on an $18,000 60 or 72 inch zero turn mower. And you always wonder, like, what's the difference in a 5,000, a Bad Boy Avenger right now, I've got one for $44.99 in a 60 inch cut, right? Well, I've still got a 60 inch 7 gauge that cut in Hustler that's $18,000. So a lot of people are like, what's the difference? This mower here I can buy for $4,800. This mower here is the same size deck, same horsepower engine, and I'm paying $18,000 for it. Well, the reason you're paying for it is mainly in the transmission and the engine, the higher quality. One guy said the ZT Elite has a 2 horsepower more motor than the Maverick, so he's going to buy the ZT Elite, but he doesn't know the Maverick has a lot better torque curve, a lot more power on the motor, has a 2-time longer lasting piston system in it, so every component in the engine is designed to last 2 times longer simply in the Bad Boy Maverick. And so he's letting a 2 horsepower difference talk him into getting the mower that he actually needs instead of the ZT Elite getting your Maverick. So that is that's a big deal, y'all. So it's the same way with Scag. So when you put this in perspective, you've got the Liberty 2800s, you've got the Freedom Z, it's still got 2800s, which is crazy. Then you've got the Scag Patriot, which does 3100s in the 52, 3400s in the 60. So as you go up in value, you go up in transmission. So when you're talking to your dealerships, you'll be shocked. Sometimes they'll have a $10,000 mower that only has a 3100 transmission on it. You probably want to change dealerships, go to a different mower company where you can buy a lot better transmission for your money. Right now, Kubota on a Z411 actually gives you a 3600 transmission. So out of all the mowers that are close to $10,000, Kubota is one of your best values besides the Grasshopper 226 or Bad Boy Rebel. They use 4400s. But where Kubota doesn't tell you is they put the engine that all the other companies use on their $6,800 and $7,300 motor on that $10,000 411 to try to, if you're just looking at transmissions, you're going to get a little gooped because you're going to end up with an FS Kawasaki, which you can buy from anybody for probably $7,000. So you're just overpaying by $3,000 just because they've got a 3600 transmission instead of a 3400 transmission, if that makes sense. They're making a lot more profit, you know. For 10 grand, the Bad Boy Rebel, hands down, is the best value for what you get in the entire industry. And I'll put it in perspective. This mower right here is 72-inch, 3-gauge deck, $1,000 seat, 4,400 transmissions, 72-inch deck. You can get a 35-horse big block Kawasaki. You can get a fuel-injected 31-horse Kawasaki. And here's the difference. It's $10,000, right? If you bought this from any other manufacturer, it's not going to have a 3-gauge deck. First, it's not going to have those size front forks. It's not going to have no flats on the front. It's not going to have massive gas tanks. It's not going to have that $1,000 seat sitting on it. It's not going to have 4,400s on it. And if it does, it's going to be $15,000 from any other manufacturer. They are blowing because they're offering you way more transmission, engine, mower, deck, everything for your money. So a lot of people will consider buying that, right? Instead of, you know, we'll put this in perspective. Here you go. Here's the same mower. Now, I do admit this has a little less smalls as far as the breakdowns go. The belt system's a little better on this unit. The deck does have a little edge on the cut. It has a little suspension system, but it doesn't have a suspension seat. This mower is $15,000, right? And that's on a good day. That's a cash price. That's not up north. So, you know, with Grasshopper, $15,000. With Scag, with a Hustler, $15,000. So when you walk in here like, I want a 72-inch deck, oh, here you go. It's $99.99. Wait a minute, what's wrong with it? Actually, it's what's right with it first, you know. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to visit a little bit on the transmission. So a lot of you follow me, and I want to give you advice, and I still see people that I think he subscribed to my channel and asking, you know, hey, is this dealer right? But he is not. You want the most transmission you can buy. And here's the God's honest truth, and this is what the dealer ain't gonna tell you. If you walk in my door and you say, I've got 2.5 acres, brother, all I got's money for a ZT Elite, do you know what I'm gonna do? Or my salesman's gonna do? Hey man, why don't you come out here and look in our used mowers, and for $5,000, we probably got a good $10,000 mower that has a few hours on it that'd be a lot better buy than you buying a mower that's maxing out already on your yard to start with. And they're gonna look at us like we're crazy because we're trying to sell them a used mower that's all scratched up for $5,000 instead of selling them a ZT Elite new. Because we are gonna try to get you in the right mower for the amount of money that you have. Now, here's the other deal, too, is, hey, man, for another $3,000, you can get a full commercial Maverick HD for $8,500. It's got $1,000 seat. It's got a fuel-injected Vanguard engine on it. It's got 3,400 transmissions. It's going to cost you $40 more a month. Why don't you just go ahead and get that Maverick HD then if you're uncomfortable with the used mower? And that's where it goes. And that's why it's so much easier to sell Bad Boy, because I'm not talking about $10,000. I'm talking about $8,500. So my goal, and that's why Bad Boy does sell a little bit more in here, because they offer you the most for the least amount of money. Now, if you do buy a Hustler for $3,000 more, you are going to get a better mower. If you are getting a Scag for $3,000 more, obvious, for $3,000, it better be a little bit better, you know. Grasshoppers are least problematic mower, but before you have $7,000 in your pocket, you can't even look at one of these. So I've got to get you looking at a Maverick before we can even start to look at a Grasshopper. So my goal is to get you looking at a Bad Boy Maverick to start. 3,200. I don't care what you mow. That should be your minimal. And then if you're uncomfortable, we start going down. If you're not uncomfortable, we start going up. We start swapping to all these other brands. But that's kind of where we go. But you hear Kanzaki and everybody's like, what do you think about this transmission? I think Spartan's using a new transmission. I don't know a whole lot about. The problem with Spartan is a lot of their mowers are already full size and they're using too small of a transmission. So I'm replacing a lot of transmissions on Spartan right now. The wheels and tires are too big. The frame was too heavy for a 3,100 transmission or a Kanzaki or whatever that small torque. Oh, torque, Tuff torque. So Tuff torques, they're starting to use a little bit. I think Scag's starting to use a Tuff torque. It is not as expensive as a hydrogear, so it's not going to be as good in that same class, I don't think. Not going to beat them down. They didn't have a lot of problems with them. But if you just, why don't they just use what they were using? Because prices are going up and they're trying to keep their profit margins. That's what's happening. So all your transmissions are getting cheaper. They're putting cheaper transmissions on more expensive mowers. So y'all have got to realize when you walk through a door to dealership, your minimum range is going to be $88,000 right now. So you're working at 8,000. Now you're going to go up if you're a serious hardcore commercial guy. If you just got a little half-acre yard and you got a wife griping at you, you may be going downhill a little bit. Now we'll give you a little man math, and this is how a lot of people buy a mower in here. When you come in here and buy a mower, you're not planning on spending $8,000. You're probably planning on spending on $2,000 or $3,000, and then you've got an 1.5 acre, 2 acre yard to take care of. The wife is giving you $3,000 to spend, right? This is man math, right? You pick you out a bad to the bone mower. You pay a monthly payment, say $200 a month, get you a $10,000 lawnmower, right? You find a neighbor's yard you can mow to make sure you clear $200 a month. Then you go to your wife, you say, hey, I didn't spend $3,000, I spent $10,000 today. What? But it's free. How's it free? Because I'm mowing the neighbor's yard. They're paying the payment, and we just got a free mower. And in 4 years and 5 years, it'll be ours free and clear. If I mow another yard, maybe it'll be ours in 2 or 3 years. That blows Dave Ramsey out of the water, because if you can buy something and get it for free on somebody else's dime and make a business out of it, a side business, man, Dave, I would never be here if I'd listened to Dave Ramsey. So not dogging him at all, but I'm just saying, free mower. I don't know about you, but women get excited over free stuff and bargains. This is free. I'm mow edge yard down the street. But make sure you get your bad to the bone transmission. If not, we're going to be digging in y'all's pocketbook too early. You're going to have a transmission failure too early. And I don't want that to happen for y'all. If you're going to drop $5,000 on a mower and 2 years later drop $1,200 on the transmission, that's going to hurt you a little bit. You're going to hate bad boy mowers. You're going to hate Scag because your transmission failed prematurely, because the buddy on Bad Boy Owner website or on Mon site told me I could mow 10 acres with a 3100 transmission, and now you're dropping another $1,200 that you don't have. So you could have just gave me $1,200 up front, financed it for $21 a month, and we wouldn't be having this conversation 2 years down the road, and you having to spend another $1,200. So I love you guys. I care for you. That's why I'm gonna start to do a little more of these videos, because I really feel like y'all need some help on these decisions. So don't really have a word for you, but I will tell you, a lot of you guys, if this is your first time, Matthew 6:33 is on everything that we have on our dealership as far as our hats and stuff go. Seek the kingdom of God first, his righteousness. What we focus on is all these other things. All these other things will fall into place for you once you get the kingdom and the righteousness thing down. Then you'll have a whole fleet of lawnmowers if God's behind you, I'm reminded of a guy in Dallas. His name's Frenchie. He came over here as a immigrant, and he started mowing a few yards with a push mower. Now, this story I heard from somebody else. I don't know how true it is, but the story goes that, I see Frenchie's vans all over the place. He just parks them randomly at shopping centers. He's got his name and his lawn care and his phone number on it. They tell me he's one of the largest lawn care guys in the entire Dallas region. Y'all might correct me on here and comment, and I may even have his name wrong because it's been years since I heard this story. I just literally reminded of it. But could you imagine that man when he got here? He had nothing but a push mower. Somebody said he had 300 employees. I've never met the man before. I'd love to give him some lawnmower business. And has more trucks and more trailers and more vans than the whole Dallas DFW area. But I'm wondering if he's a godly man. He had to be humble, and he still has to be humble. So I just wonder if God's behind him. The Bible teaches me that God's behind all good things. So for an immigrant to be able to employ 300 families and be able to share his resources that he had nothing with all over America, at least all over Texas and North Texas. I just wonder what God can do through you if you seek his kingdom, his righteousness first. And then you start, and then the other things just start coming. I never imagined, 15 years ago when I started this, or 16 years ago when I started this business with that one. I remember how hard it hurt me to hire that one guy. I never imagined being the largest volume dealer in the world. I never imagined today we have a $20,000 a week payroll today. at K&G Mowers. I would have never imagined. And when I remember I hired him, I think I hired him for $500 a week. And I remember I was like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of money. You know, I never imagined spending $20,000 a week on employees, but that's where we are now. I never imagined having, 7 lines of mowers. I never imagined being a top hustler dealer, we're top tier this year, 7 tier. Went from a 1 tier last year to 7 tier this year. We broke a Grasshopper deal. We broke a Bad Boy. I think we're number 1 again. Never imagined. Stihl. We blew Stihl. We are selling so much handhelds and weed eater. I didn't realize how much Stihl was doing. We's doing almost as much Stihl weed eater stuff as we are Scag mowers. So blessed. I would have never imagined that in a million years, let alone in 16 years. Having a $20,000 payroll, getting to bless so many families from what God's done here. I'm just wondering what God can do through you if you'll seek his kingdom first and his righteousness. Lay down all your sin, repent of it, give it all to him and start following him and seeing what he can do with your business, seeing what he can do with those thoughts and that mind, the entrepreneurial spirit. You can buy one Hustler 104 mower for $34,000, pay $600 a month on it. Do you know you can mow 78 acres a week on that lawnmower? And that's on paper. That's actually an understatement. You can mow more. But a flat, wide open yard with you can knock out 78 acres with one lawnmower. Nobody ever told me that. With the 72-inch zero turn, I mowed a 25-acre yard in one day. Nobody ever told me that. They told me not to buy 72. It's too big. Took me to a whole nother level when I stopped listening to everybody else. So y'all, I'm telling you, buy the right transmission for your yard. If not, you're going to regret it. Love you guys. Have an amazing day in the Lord. It is so cool. So much cooler than it has been the last couple of days. And my phone overheated 4 times just from what happened, just from the heat. Just trying to do one of these videos for 15 minutes. So, man, I encourage you to, if your dealer doesn't know, please give him some knowledge. Or send him to this video. Have him call me. I'll explain it all to him. Love you guys. Have a good day.